Hey everyone, it's Wednesday, time for Wisdom Wednesday. Had an interesting question given to me last week about what is the safe amount of alcohol that anyone can drink? And honestly, I guess I would say there's really no safe amount of alcohol, but let's be realistic here. We're going to likely have some alcohol unless you've really committed not to ever drink, but let's look at alcohol and see exactly what it is and how we might be able to come up with an idea of perhaps what is a safe amount of alcohol. We know that there are recommendations and the CDC has released some information as well, and we'll walk through that. And but let's look at it. What is alcohol exactly? Well, it's really the byproduct of fermentation of sugars, whether it's a grape or some type of grain, and so it's this fermentation that creates alcohol. And once ingested, it really is just a central nervous system depressant. And depending on the amount of alcohol that is consumed, the alcohol itself is metabolized and broken down in the liver to acetaldehyde, which then is circulated in the system. But the liver can only metabolize small amounts at a time. It can't get all of it. So when there's a lot of alcohol consumed, it just continues to circulate and continues to be a central nervous system depressant. And as a result, the intensity of this effect is really, there's a genetic aspect to it as to how much enzyme you make in your liver that can metabolize alcohol, and then what is the rate of intake. So it really just kind of depends on what is your own personal genetics and then the rate limiting step of how much you bring into the body. But are there really safe amounts? Well, we often have been told that actually drinking a glass of wine every night is healthy for us, but is that really true? I think that the data is very mixed on that, and I think that the proponents obviously are going to say, yes, it's absolutely great. It may help decrease metabolic concerns where cardiovascular disease is concerned. And so, but is that really true? And looking at it too, where are the aspects of concern where drinking too much alcohol is an issue? Well, we know that 5% of all cancers that are diagnosed do tend to be alcohol related. And there are certain cancers that are increased by drinking more alcohol or drinking alcohol alone. Obviously, more and more alcohol increases your risk, whereas there's a modestly low risk drinking a small amount of alcohol. But as you increase more alcohol, it can increase your risk for certain types of cancer, particularly oropharyngeal, laryngeal, esophageal, colorectal cancers are increased. Melanoma has been shown to be somewhat increased as well. And for women, breast cancer may be increased with more alcohol intake. So these things need to be thought of as well in terms of, are there major risk factors? And then those people who drink every day, what is going to be an amount? Well, the CDC or guidelines through the CDC would say for women, 1 drink or less per day, and for men, 2 drinks or less per day. And what really constitutes a drink is the amount of alcohol per item. Let's just say, so for beer, it would be 12 ounces. For malt liquor, 8 ounces. For wine, it's 5 ounces. And for distilled liquor, it would be 1.5 ounces. And these are all equivalent. So not one is necessarily better than the other. They bring to the table about the same amount of alcohol. So understanding that. And we know too that it can impair us in terms of judgment and in terms of making decisions, particularly driving and things like this. So this is not a question of whether or not you should drive and drink, et cetera, et cetera. It's just, again, amounts of alcohol. Is there really a safe amount? And I think that the bottom line is no, there's not, but we are going to drink, so let's use our judgment. We also know that from a health standpoint, alcohol impairs our ability to sleep well. And many would suggest if you are going to drink, finish drinking at least 3 hours before bed. We know that it impairs level 2, stage 2 and stage 3 areas of sleep, therefore affecting REM sleep, which affects the overall benefits of getting enough sleep at night. So alcohol is not, even though it can help maybe get to sleep, it really impairs the quality of sleep. And that's quite important as we age and as we look to overall health and wellness, because we know that sleep is just kind of under air and water even before food. Sleep is just that vital. And more evidence is mounting to that in terms of not only just getting through the next day and having energy and being able to do the things that we want to do, but also just for overall mental health and mental status. Having good quality sleep is imperative there. So when you look at making a choice for alcohol and making decisions, if you have a celebration, that's great, but make sure that you stay hydrated. If you're going to have an evening of a drink before dinner and wine with a meal and an after dinner drink, make sure that you hydrate well. Try to get that done earlier in the evening rather than making a very late night evening of it. The good news is we have lots of ways to get home after drinking now, and much more accessibility to getting ways of getting home with Uber and Lyft, etc. So that's imperative. And I think too, most of us understand that with aging, we're just not able to metabolize alcohol like we have in the past. We know that it can cause liver damage in addition to increasing risk for other metabolic issues and cancers. So just choose wisely. Make sure that you hydrate. I would suggest that drinking daily is not a great decision, even though there are quote unquote safe amounts that can have been listed by the CDC. I think that just like sugar, and it is very much metabolized like sugar, this is not a healthy thing to do. So I would not kid myself thinking I'm doing something really healthy for myself. And I would choose very wisely how and when to consume alcohol. Hopefully this has been a little bit of some insight for you. If you have any questions or concerns or feel like you have an issue, please let us know. And we'll continue to look at ways to optimize our health as we move forward through the year. You all have a great week.